There is an entire group of Pokemon that can level down before they level up. You'll be surprised to find out that the reason this is possible is the exact same reason that eggs originally hatch from level 5 and not level 1. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to try this glitch yourself on your own game cartridge. This obviously raises some questions like, how does a Pokemon level down? And what group of Pokemon can do this? And why do I ask myself questions I clearly already know the answer to at the beginning of a video? Well, in the first two generations of Pokemon, experience was handled a little differently than their successors. For those of us who haven't obsessed over the small details of Pokemon since the age of 5, Pokemon are broken down into different categories which define the rate at which they level up. Each group has a different amount of experience required to reach level 100, and the groups are the erratic group, fast, medium slow, slow, and fluctuating groups. In recent generations, complex formulas with checks and lookup tables are used to compare things like your Pokemon's experience group, your level, your opponent's level, and your subscriber status, all to determine your Pokemon's level and experience. Okay, obviously not the last one, but if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing. In earlier generations, however, experience groups had much simpler equations, which I'll show here. They used simple formulas which determine how much experience is required for any given level, and all of these equations are fine except for one. If I plot all of these formulae, what you'll see is that one of the graphs actually has a negative value at the start. Spoiler, that's not a good thing. What this means is that the required XP to be level 0 or 1 in the medium slow experience group is actually negative. To avoid this oversight, Pokemon only above level 2 could be encountered in early generations. Nice save, Game Freak. And it's this specific oversight that allows Pokemon to technically level down from level 1 to level 100. But to understand why that's possible, we're gonna need to learn about a little thing I call integers. Modern Pokemon games for the most part use what's called a signed integer value for handling things like levels and experience. A signed integer is a binary value that represents a decimal number, except one of the digits represents its positive or negative state. What this means is that a signed integer value counts up to a lower number, but it has the ability to distinguish between positive and negative values. Stay with me here. An unsigned integer uses all of its digits to count in only the positive direction, which means that it can count to a larger number, but can't differentiate between positive or negative values. I couldn't find exactly why, but the values for experience and levels in early Pokemon games are unsigned integers. My guess is that it was to keep equations from breaking in case something weird ever happened in the game, I guess. So the obvious question that comes from this is, what happens when an unsigned integer tries to represent a negative value? Well, it's pretty simple. The number wraps back around to the maximum value and starts counting down from there, performing what's called an underflow. And yeah, we can exploit the shit out of this with the medium slow experience group. Let's say we catch a Pokemon at level 1 from the medium slow experience group. Filling out our formula, we see that that Pokemon would have negative 54 experience to start. Pokemon can only level up after gaining some experience in battle, so if we gain less than 54 experience, our Pokemon can technically level down with its negative experience value, causing it to underflow to level 100.
Hey, but you said Game Freak made it impossible to encounter level 1 Pokemon.
Get out of my house. Well, that's true. We're gonna use another well-known glitch to allow us to catch a Pokemon at level 1. And you can even follow along on your own copy of Red, Blue, or Yellow. We start by doing what's called the Trainer Escape glitch. This glitch is super easy to set up. All we have to do is save before fighting this trainer here in Viridian Forest, and then walk in front of them, making sure to get an encounter on the tile in front of the trainer. If it doesn't happen, turn off the game and restart, and if done right, you will start a wild battle in front of the trainer. You want to black out during this fight, so it's helpful to have your starter poisoned by a Weedle before entering. Upon fainting, you know everything worked if you see this exclamation mark pop up. After fainting, we head back to Viridian Forest, but before entering, we make sure that the last text box you had open was your menu. Enter the forest where the start menu will pop up, just close the menu, and an encounter will start. And you can see here we have a level 1 Ivysaur. And I'll spare you the details of why this specific Pokemon appears. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna tell you a bunch of useless shit about this encounter. The Pokemon encountered here depends on the special stat of the last Pokemon you encountered. If that's not weird enough, the level of the Pokemon is determined by the attack stage of the last Pokemon you encountered. With this knowledge, we can force an Ivysaur to appear by finding a Pokemon with a special stat of 9, which I used a level 4 Nidoran for. However, if you were to go and encounter that Pokemon right now, what you would get is a level 7 Ivysaur, and that's because the default attack stage in Generation 1 of Pokemon is actually 7. Since we want our encounter to be level 1, what we can do is use Growl on a Pokemon 6 times, bringing its attack stage down to 1, and therefore making the level of our encounter level 1. Early gen glitches be wild, my dudes. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, bring Pokeballs because you're gonna need to catch this encounter. After you catch this Pokemon, it's time for the best part, leveling down to level 100. All you have to do is lead with your Ivysaur, switch it out, defeat the wild Pokemon, and just make sure that your Ivysaur gets less than 54 experience. Then watch your soon-to-be Venusaur go 0 to 100 real quick. And there you have it. That's how you level down a Pokemon to level 100.